you've travelled like with work a lot, Indonesia, Chile. What's some of your most memorable experiences?
Yeah. I suppose there's two categories of memorable. So the most memorable from this is exciting stuff would be the work we did up in Finland and Sweden, and just seeing mining equipment with snow all over. It's a totally different environment, and that's very memorable. Plus, I love that region of the world.
Sure.
And the weekends are memorable, snowboarding and everything.
Sure.
But in terms of the most satisfying professionally and all of those things, working in Indonesia was great.
Welcome to this week's episode of Fit for FIFO, and this week we've got a man who lives and breathes mining, so much so that he's actually written a unique book on the subject. Thanks for coming on the show, Jared.
No, thanks for having me, Jason. I'm really happy to be here and looking forward to having a chat.
Yeah, cool, mate. Firstly, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you're up to right now and how you're involved in mining?
Yeah, so currently I run a company called Bluefield Asset Management Specialists. And we provide asset management or maintenance engineering, reliability engineering services primarily to the mining industry.
Right.
Also a little bit in rail and also gas, with a niche service in gas around hazardous areas.
Yep.
But so that's how we're working in the mining industry these days. It's providing similar services to what we used to do when we were working for mining companies.
Sure.
But as a contract provider, I suppose.
Okay, great. And what's your exact role in there?
So my role is the managing director of the company.
Okay.
So started it with another guy about 8.5 years ago now, coming up to 9 years. And so there's just the two of us at the start, and now there's about 60 odd, with most of the people in Brisbane, but also people in Perth, Adelaide, New South Wales, around Newcastle, and 6 guys over in Chile and a few up in Finland.
Sure, nice. Okay, cool. We'll dig a bit deeper into that later, but for now, how about we get into this beer review?
Yeah, great. Looking forward to that.
Cool. Actually, this week we've gone a bit mainstream, but we've gone to Cooper's. The Sessions Ale. Have you had one of these before, Jared?
No, I've tried a lot of Coopers, a pale ale, but never a session ale. So
right, so I think similar to a Pacific Ale, probably, I'd say.
Yeah.
We'll give it a crack, nice and cold.
It's 4.2.
Yeah, 4.2. It's still a heavy, isn't it?
It's a little bit more than the normal session ales that I've seen. Yeah, they're normally around the 3.5.
Yeah, sure. Oh, I've got a bit of froth here, mate. Cheers. Good temperature, eh?
Nice.
What do you think of that?
That's really smooth.
It's not bad, hey?
Yeah, it's got a bit of that Cooper's taste, but
a
little bit, probably a bit milder than the pale ale. Isn't
it? Yeah, definitely. It's sort of got that little bit of fruity taste as well, tiny like bit. I think, but it's not too. It's still a little bit bitter as well. No, it's good.
Yeah, but could be a new beer in my staple beer diet.
Yeah, right. Nice. What sort of beers do you generally drink?
I used to say that I drank all the beers that started with K, which is Cooper's, Kunzman, which is a Chilean beer.
Right.
Corona, of course.
Yeah.
And Kilkenny.
Okay. Nice.
Some of them C, some of them K, but all starting with K.
Yeah, right.
They were my favourite beers, but these days I can't remember the name of it now, but there's a couple of others coming out. There's all these boutique beers that are coming out everywhere, and I'm trying a heap of them. So I moved on from beers that start with K.
There's a few around in there.
Yeah.
I'm a bit the same, mate. I drink beers that start with K when you open them.
Yeah, nice.
Cool. Mate, just firstly, before we dig any deeper, I've just remembered. So where can viewers find you? On your business, are you on Instagram or LinkedIn or where?
Primarily LinkedIn.
Okay.
We're also on Facebook, but most of the stuff that we do and all the activity, and we try and share information, share learnings that we've had.
Yeah, sure.
Trying to give as much of that away as possible.
Okay.
And we do that primarily through LinkedIn.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So that's where you can find Bluefield.
Yeah, Bluefield or myself. You know, I'm there on LinkedIn, and certainly the book has a page on LinkedIn as well.
Okay, great. Yeah. Sure. And Fit for FIFO, we're on YouTube, obviously, Spotify and iTunes, Facebook and Instagram, and now we're on LinkedIn. Yeah. I finally got around to doing that. Great. So, yeah, we're on there, mate. Cool. So, past the beer review, mate, I actually, out of 5, what would you rate that beer? Overall experience.
I think it's got to be at least a 4.
Yeah? Yeah, I rate it pretty highly too, I'd say.
Instant like for that, it's very drinkable. So, yeah, I'd say it's a 4, maybe a 4.2.
Yeah, sure. Mate, so our previous chat, it sounds like you've covered a lot of ground in the mining industry. Do you want to run us through a bit of brief history of your career, please?
Yeah, I suppose I've been in the industry now for 34 years and started out when I was an apprentice, 17. Studied externally electrical engineering, started as an electrician or apprentice electrician, and worked in the mines in central Queensland over my apprenticeship, 4 years, and then post that for another 9 or 10 years, and then moved from there to Indonesia.
Okay.
So I had a bit short of a couple of years in Indonesia. We went up there, my wife and 2 kids at that stage, and we ended up getting evacuated when the East Timor seceded and Australians weren't too popular. Right. But it was a great place, really enjoyed working up there, great people, and still in contact with some of those guys now.
Wow.
And then,
so a good experience overall.
Yeah, really good, yeah. And we were disappointed that it got cut short,
Wow.
Because it was we were really enjoying it.
Right. And how's your Bahasa?
Sedikit saja.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty bad these days. But when I was up there, it was pretty good.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So then we came back, and I was working with BHP then, and left and went to the Hunter Valley. Where I worked with Peabody, which then became Rio Tinto. So Peabody got bought out by Rio Tinto. So 4 years down there, a couple of years electrical engineer, finished my degree in those years, and then moved on to the maintenance manager's role. And then I came back to BHP based in Brisbane, and I had a role that was like a central maintenance improvement role. Right. And went around all of Australia and many other parts of the world, working with sites and just trying to help them out and share good practices. And I learned so much there around theories of maintenance and reliability. Like prior to that, 16 years of my career had been in the line, just working up through all the different roles, every different role you can do in maintenance, until this, and that was all practical stuff and with people and all those sort of things. And then in this central role, learning all the theories around reliability and asset management and all those sort of things, which was great. I loved it.
Sure.
But then I moved on to Chile for 3 years with BHP still, in another central sort of role, but focused on the base metals operations in Chile. And
what age were you at this time?
Must have been about 37 when we moved over there.
Right.
So we were over there for 3 years. So I remember having my 40th birthday over there. And then moved back, and after sort of 5.5 years or so in central improvement roles, I wanted to go back into the line and implement some of the theories and things that I've learnt.
Right.
So went back as a maintenance manager for Anglo and flew in and out. That was my longest period of FIFO.
Right.
Did a little bit of that in Indonesia.
Okay.
But yeah, a bit over 12 months of FIFO, Monday to Friday.
Sure.
It wasn't really a good experience from a family perspective.
Okay.
I love the role, and maintenance manager's a role that is dear to my heart, and I love seeing equipment improve and the results come. Working with the teams directly.
Sure.
But yeah, FIFO wasn't
for you.
It wasn't, well, not a Monday to Friday. Prior to leaving BHP, I did a little bit of 8 and 6 out of Brisbane to Cannington, and that was fine. I had no problems with that. That was about 4 months.
Okay.
But the Monday to Friday is a different kettle of fish.
Right. So you're going 5 days on and then coming home for the weekends? Or?
Yeah.
Right.
So fly up Monday morning,
Yep.
come back Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
2 days home, you just don't get time to connect with your family.
Sure.
And that I found that really quite tough.
Yeah, sure.
And so had to leave that. Had another job offer down the general manager path, but
Okay.
it meant the same thing.
Yep.
For 4-year commitment of FIFO like that, and I chose to get to know my family more.
Sure.
And we started Bluefield, and yeah.
Nice.
The last 8.5 years have been really good. Really enjoyed all of the learning and the variety of work, and met so many more people and
Yeah.
variety of companies to work for. It's been awesome.
Nice. And was that a pretty fine line between deciding to go down your own route of Bluefield as opposed to staying working for a mining company, or was it a pretty easy decision?
Well, I knew that the family was locked into Brisbane.
Sure.
Kids were in school, and at that age where we couldn't move them anymore. They moved around enough. So it was like, do you get a job in a central role with mining companies, or go out and do something different? And the central roles in mining companies, I'd done them for long enough. I didn't want to do that again.
Yeah.
So and I always wanted to run a business and have a go at it.
Sure.
And so I just gave it a go, and it's been really good.
Yeah, right. Now, I've just thought, deciding to take on or start a business in the mining industry as opposed to starting a business just in, retail or, tourism or something, which would probably, to most people, be less daunting. It's a pretty scary thing, I think, to take on that sort of thing. What's your experience been overall, and how was it?
So I started with a partner, Jim Mahood, and he has been in this contracting services or consulting services type business before.
Okay,
so
great.
I wasn't starting it totally by myself,
Okay.
and that was great because he had all the systems, and
Sure.
he had run some very good businesses. So that was a wise move to do that with him, and I'm really grateful of that opportunity.
Right.
I had tried other little things on the side, during my career, little retail online type businesses and things like that.
Right.
And I learned from that experience that
Okay.
I should do something that I knew about.
Sure, yeah, nice. So Jim was, I suppose, almost like a mentor figure in a sense?
Yeah, certainly in this type of field, providing services, I learnt heaps from Jim, in the first few years, and still do. From time to time, he's still involved in business. So.
Great.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, you've travelled with work a lot, Indonesia, Chile. What's some of your most memorable experiences?
Yeah. I suppose there's two categories of memorable. So the most memorable from this is exciting stuff would be the work we did up in Finland and Sweden, and just seeing mining equipment with snow all over it. It's a totally different environment, and that's very memorable. Plus, I love that region of the world.
Sure.
And the weekends are memorable, snowboarding and everything.
Sure.
But in terms of the most satisfying professionally and all of those things, working in Indonesia was great. Like, those guys really wanted to learn and do a great job, and we just connected really well, and they were really appreciative of being able to go from where they were to a much better place in terms of plant reliability, and that was really satisfying.
Right. So the people specifically, like the guys you're working
to
with,
see the guys learn so much, and then their response to that,
very grateful for what.
Yeah, that meant a real lot to me.
Sure.
Because we're able to achieve some great things. And I find that if you treat people like you want to be treated anywhere in the world, they're all the same. So,
of course, that's right.
So that was great.
Cool. Working in mines, like snow-covered mines, that sounds really quite interesting. Is there any strange things that you have to take into consideration with any equipment or anything like that?
Oh, well, certainly around the mining equipment,
Yeah.
you know, maintenance of mining equipment, when it breaks down, all the heaters that are on those machines, and
Yeah.
the workshops are a different kettle of fish. They're all heated
Oh,
and
nice.
totally sealed, and
Yeah.
especially up in Finland, like, it gets to negative 40 degrees.
Yeah.
I've only ever been up there when it's about negative 16. So
40. Holy shit, that's
Yeah.
cold. Jeez.
But,
yeah. And moisture would be a massive problem, right?
not at those temperatures.
It's all dry, isn't it? Yeah, of course.
It's very dry.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think moisture's a problem compared to some of the wet places down here.
True.
Up in Indonesia or Papua New Guinea, you probably got more moisture problems.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah,
for sure. Now, mate, you seem to me like a very motivated person, and in like many ways, and you've achieved quite a lot. Just thinking in terms of someone who might be feel a little stagnant in their career, or they haven't really achieved what they desire. What would you, if there's anything you can identify specifically with what's helped you achieve what you have, what would you put it down to?
I suppose it comes down to a few things.
Okay.
So first thing would be just hard work.
Right.
You know, I was ambitious, wanted to do things and see the world, and get into leadership roles and all that sort of stuff. I always wanted to do that. So I realised that I just had to work harder than anyone else, and I just applied myself. So that's the first thing. You've got to be prepared to do more than anyone else is prepared to do if you want to know more and be able to add more value. So that was the first thing. But also being able to recognise mistakes and learn from those, and not worry about the mistakes. You know, made a mistake, and I've made plenty.
Yeah.
Just learn from that, and say, okay, well, I've got to be better tomorrow, and move on. So they're probably two things, and if there's anything else, it's just a desire to continue to improve my knowledge and learn more and grow. You know, not just. I've never been one to stay in one role for too long.
Right.
You need a couple of years in a role, 2 to 3 years. So I've tended to move after every 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah, right.
Up until Bluefield, where now I've been in this role for 8.5 years.
Yep.
But still loving every day because of the variety.
I was about to say you get a lot of variety by the sounds of it.
Oh yeah, heaps.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that's a great answer. That's really good. Now, over your 34 years, I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes in the industry.
Yeah.
What do you, I suppose, anticipate to see in the future, or what would you like to see, or what are your thoughts on the future in mining?
Yeah, I see technology continuing to play a big part, and we're going to continue to embrace it. But I would like to see us not lose sight of the basics.
Okay.
The fundamentals around good reliability and trade skills and those sort of things. I think it's going to be a while till we get robots to do the jobs that tradespeople have to do.
Yep.
And even then we're going to have tradespeople to fix the robots.
Of course.
So I really want to. I hope to see us not forget about the significant importance that the tradies bring to equipment reliability. We've got data analytics and AI and all those things that we're going to embrace, but those things are still useless without good trade skills.
Yeah, of course.
So hopefully the mining industry doesn't forget that and embraces that. And really that's what I wrote the book for, is to remind people of that, or make people aware of that, because I feel that we are sort of losing sight of the significant importance of that.
Right. And are you excited for the future, or is it a little bit scary with AI and stuff like that? Or
No.
How do you feel about it?
I'm excited.
Yeah.
We've got to embrace it and take control of it and do things. And we've got another business, Relialytics, which is all about analytics for reliability.
Oh wow!
So Bluefield is a 50% shareholder of that business. So we're embracing that technology and moving forward with it. But when you combine that technology with you know, the right approach to how people work and those sort of things, you can get a really good outcome.
Sure.
Just the technology without the people side,
right,
it doesn't work.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So you always need that, I suppose, discretion side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to being completely logical.
Teamwork. You always need teamwork. You need people working together, knowing what you're doing as a team, going in the same direction.
Yeah, of course. Now, renewables, mate, I feel that we have really only just scratched the surface of it, and I don't even think I can comprehend the size or the scale of the future of it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it? And
yeah, I think, you know, in terms of energy, we're absolutely going to have to embrace more. Well, we are embracing more renewables. You know, we in Bluefield, we certainly want to be relevant to that industry as well.
Yep.
It's quite a difficult industry to find your place as a new entrant. There's a lot of people in the industry already. If you talk solar, you know, but there's other types of renewables, and I really think that we're still waiting for the technology increase or improvement that makes them more efficient, and the case for adopting them just you know, we've just got to do it, lay down misere, you know.
Yeah, okay.
I believe that if it was that you know, desirable right now economically and for the environment and everything, we would just do that, you know.
Yeah,
and we are. Like I've seen it with our efforts to enter that industry. We've seen how many billions of dollars we're investing in solar and other renewable projects around the country, which is awesome. You know, so I see us having to continue, but I really want to see technology advance further so that they become more efficient.
Of course,
I know then it'll just swing really fast.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Do you have much of an idea of like which countries would you say are the leaders in in pushing this movement? Or
I don't really. I wouldn't say I'm an expert on that in terms of what countries are leading in renewable energy. What I do know is from Finland, you know, you see heaps of wind power generators around Finland.
Yeah, sure.
And Finland's a very green country.
Right.
But the economics of those don't seem to be compelling up there either. You know, like when they're reaching their life, they're pulling them down, not replacing them. So,
right.
So I'm not sure about the economics of them over the longer term, because they've had them there for many years. But that's why I feel that we need a technology advance for the pendulum to swing.
Yeah,
and
gotcha.
Just go down that path.
Right, to reach like an efficient price point or something, like to make it
it's not only the price, you know, where we have to invest, but it's the availability of the energy source.
Sure.
Because it requires the right environmental factors for wind.
Yep.
And the storage of that energy as well. So
of course,
it's not so much the price; it's just the ability to get the energy when you want it, where you want it.
Yeah.
That we're getting there. We're solving the problems, but it's taking a bit of time.
Yeah, sure. So with your book, mate, who would you say it's most relevant to?
I specifically wrote it to be relevant to obviously the maintenance community and all levels of the maintenance community, but also to chief operating officers or general managers, CEOs and CFOs. Right. There's something in there for them as well.
Okay.
You know, they might not get something out of all parts of the book, but there's there's one section at least around maintenance costs.
Yep.
That they'll definitely get something out of, and a little bit in the area around too much unscheduled maintenance or too many breakdowns, you know. So they're generally the things that I find general managers are disappointed with around the maintenance that they get, which is around cost and availability. Okay. So there's something in there for them as well.
Right. And also, would you say it's still relevant and worth reading for like sort of anyone working in maintenance or having to do with it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, some sites have purchased 20 and 30 copies of the book and just given it out to some of the tradies, supervisors, planners, And I've been surprised of other people who've purchased it and read it themselves and sent me some feedback who aren't really working in maintenance in the mining industry. They're just they're suppliers or things like that, or just people who are interested in the subject.
Sure,
and, so it's been really great to get their feedback.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think you told me that it's sort of set out like in almost like a manual format that you can sort of flick to any different area.
So it's in a couple of sections. The first section is more around my experience and how I concluded what I did.
Yep.
So you can see the journey I went through, I suppose, and how I'm thinking. And then the second section is around problems that I've seen in the industry. So, you know, I think it's broken into 5 different areas, the second part.
Yep.
And it's 5 problem areas, so too much unscheduled downtime, too much scheduled downtime, too high costs, people problems or transition from projects to operations.
Yep.
And you could categorise the things that I see, the causes of those problems in any way you want to, really. That's just how I categorise them.
Okay, right.
And I've suggested solutions or shared solutions to some of those problems that we've used in the past. So that second part of the book, you don't really need to read everything. You can just go to the bit you're interested in. Oh yeah, that's a problem we've got.
Okay.
Have a read of that, and try that.
Sure.
So it's deliberately set out that way, so it's easy to read, and you don't have to go through it sequentially necessarily.
Cool. Yeah. And you said it was you've tried to really make it a simple read as well for sort of anyone. I mean, the title says it all.
Well, simplifying mining maintenance, but it is written in very simple language, so I can understand it, you know, and it's not written in technical jargon, so anyone could read the book and understand pretty well, you know.
Sure.
You don't need to be a maintenance expert or anything like that.
Okay, and it's 167 pages, isn't it?
Yeah, about that, 167, something like that.
Okay, cool. Mate, is there any anything in there to do with acronyms, the overuse of acronyms in mining?
Yeah, I should have. I did explain every acronym that I used in there, but that makes things more difficult.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Have you seen any big issues caused with acronyms in mining at all? Because I mean, I've just worked on so many jobs that I've worked on, and there's always like miscommunications and stuff. I've never seen any big failures from it, but to me, it boggles my mind, like how much it's used, you know.
Yeah.
To me, it's almost, I feel like it's almost an ego thing in some, you know, so like to make people feel really important about, well, look, have this and this. And
yeah, it's just people inventing language, you know. Like I know when we have guys that go and work with a particular company, and they might go over there for 6 months or something like that on a different project, and they come back and they're using those acronyms, and we're like, what do you mean by that? So, you know, people just pick them up, and sometimes people invent them. I think probably even in Bluefield we've probably invented some. I think it's just a human thing, you know. But, you're just shortening the language. I haven't seen anything that is, you know, where it's caused major problems, to my knowledge. But yeah, certainly around. But you've got to be prepared to say, well, what do you mean by that? You know?
Yeah, definitely. And, that's something that something I'd really like to highlight, I suppose, for people that are maybe new into the industry or just even to a new site. Don't ever be afraid to speak up and say, I don't know what that means, you know, because it's so much more important than having a failure or causing a problem, you know. It's it is definitely
100%. You know, I think when I was in the industry many years ago, that open and honest communication, just saying what you thought, was sort of a bit part of the culture, but probably in a semi-aggressive way back in those days.
Yeah, of course.
But then I went to a company in the Hunter Valley, Bengalla Mine it was, and it was awesome. Like the culture there was amazing, and they talked about the Bengalla way, or it was really about open and honest communication, saying it as it is, but more in a more polite way, I suppose. And it enabled people to work together a lot better. And then, you know, recently I've seen a presentation and read a book by this guy in Western Australia called Bullshift, and I referenced it in my book as well. So I think it really does talk about what we're talking about there, that communication and getting over those communication issues where people aren't aren't able to talk about things openly and honestly. You have to, and question things and ask. And,
definitely. Yeah, it comes back to culture. Definitely, like making people an environment where everyone feels comfortable to speak up in any situation. You know.
Absolutely, you have to have that. If you don't have it, you can't improve. And in fact, even when I was in Indonesia, I talked about how we made improvements up there. You know, that was about making sure the guys up there felt comfortable to talk about the real problems, rather than just tell you what they thought you wanted to hear. You know, because still back in those days, it was still a little bit to tell the boss something that you thought he might not want to hear. Wasn't a good thing to do, but by creating an environment where that was expected, that they said it as it was, and actually rewarding guys for saying it as it was publicly, that created that comfort, and by talking about those things, we're able to solve problems quicker. Because you get to the real issue, and you move past it. So
and I suppose over there, especially with different languages, that's always like a bit more of a challenge as well. Sure. Right, mate. So I've got a few. I've reached out to a friend of mine. He's actually an E&I supervisor for Shell, as I knew that he'd have some like trade-related questions for you. Mate. So I'll just read them out to you. So first one he's got is, what equipment do you find most commonly as over-maintained?
Yeah, I think some of the things I see on mining equipment that's over-maintained is around checks on steering and things like that, you know, statutory checks. Some of those inspections don't need to be as frequent as they are, based on the failure modes and the rate of degradation of those components. But over the years, they've become so frequent, and that's a problem too. It causes problems because the guys who go and do this inspections know that you don't need to check it every 2 weeks. So they just end up going, I know it's the same as last time, tick, 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 you know. And so getting those things right, that's probably not like the greatest cost in terms of over maintenance, but you know, there's other over maintenance of components where you change them too early and things like that, which probably are a greater cost. But those little things, they're really important to get those frequencies right. Same as the pre-start on cars. You know, if you've done a pre-start yesterday and you know that the fire extinguisher's there and it was good, do you need to check it again today? You know, so just making sure that that's sensible. You've got to do all those things, but making sure those inspections are sensible and they're at the right frequency, you get a better outcome.
And just from your experience, manufacturers' recommendations, say if they have like a very specific recommendation, like with the application and everything, do you find, are they quite conservative with what they recommend, or are they usually pretty spot on? Like
with mining equipment manufacturers, they openly say that it depends on the application, and they will give you component lives and task frequencies and things like that, which are quite conservative, very conservative. So you really have to understand how the equipment behaves in your application and your environment, and eventually you make up your own mind.
So they're just like a lot of that,
as long as you're doing the things that they say you have to do around for warranty, and those sort of things like replacing the filters and using the right type of filters and that sort of stuff.
But
they're spot on there. The OEMs know there, but in terms of the life of particular things or the inspection frequency or what you have to do, you know, you're going to learn some things based on your own application that you need to add to those OEM recommendations. See that acronym there, OEM?
Yeah, there you go, OEM,
so the manufacturers.
Exactly, there you go. So what are the common flaws in maintenance strategies across sites?
I suppose I did talk a bit about this in the book as well. When you talk about maintenance strategies, there's two big things that I see as a gap. One is that people don't have enough scheduled downtime, so they don't put into their maintenance plan sufficient scheduled downtime to do the work. You know, they're trying to cut down the scheduled downtime to improve the availability, but don't do that,
Yeah, sure.
Do the scheduled downtime that you need and reduce the unscheduled downtime, and you will get a much better outcome.
Right.
I've seen that many times, so that's a big flaw in terms of maintenance strategy.
Yep.
How much they schedule the equipment down for. Even plants these days, fixed plant, I see them stretching out their shutdowns so far that, and not allowing any windows in between shutdowns to actually keep on top of things, that it's causing them more unscheduled downtime.
Right.
I'm all for pushing out scheduled downtime, but to improve the availability, but you've got to ensure you've got enough time to get things done in a planned and proactive way.
Yeah, gotcha.
So that's one big problem. But the other thing is too that over the years I've seen people redo the strategy, so redo the PM checklist, do RCM or do these types of projects. When really the problem's not that. The problem is how the current strategy is being executed. So, a big focus of mine and big focus of what I wrote in the book is around getting that culture where people care, have that ownership of the equipment.
Yep.
You'll get a better outcome than rewriting the documents over and over and over again.
Yeah, right.
So.
And how I mean, this is a very broad question, but how would education be probably the best way of sort of promoting that, would you say?
In terms of getting people to own the equipment and getting that culture right, well, it's something that I'm still working on, still learning. Part of the reason I wrote the book is to get that message out there more.
Yep.
We've got some things that we've done which have been successful, but creating a culture is really based around that specific site and the people, and so sometimes what we do doesn't work. I think you just continue to talk about problems, similar to what we were talking about there before.
Yep.
Having a desire to improve.
Yep.
And then a couple of rituals that you embed, like your daily shift start meeting and all of those sort of things that generate the discussion in the right way.
Yeah, of course.
So, the same as the safety journey, how we've improved the safety culture over the years.
Yep.
We've embedded a few rituals into the way we work.
Right.
So those things are good.
Right.
Yeah.
Mate, just a question of my own. Have you guys got any, do you guys use any certain methods or recommendations or something for team morale, like building team morale? Like, is there anything that you guys sort of push or?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's our process that we call Bluefield Transformation. The outcome is that it builds team morale.
Okay.
And I talk about in the book 3 things that make a successful team. They are people who have different skills, electrical, mechanical, supervision, engineers, tradies. And then the second thing being a commitment to common performance goals.
Right.
And those 2 things we always find. People are committed to getting the business performance metrics there. People are committed. People have all the different necessary skills they need.
Yep.
But the third element is a commitment to a method or an approach to which they hold themselves mutually accountable.
Right.
So this is where the issue starts to, when people have difference of opinion of how things should be done.
Yeah, right.
Or what's an acceptable standard. And then that's when they start to have issues. And if they don't have that mechanism to get over them, morale starts to drop.
Sure. Yep.
So people don't like working there because they don't think anyone cares, or the boss doesn't let them do what they think is important and all those sort of things. So our transformation process is all about getting them aligned and working as one team in the same direction.
Yep.
And that's what I love to see out of it the most, is when you come back and they've been doing that, they feel proud that they've been able to achieve these things because they got over those issues.
Yep.
And the morale lifts.
Yeah, right.
If you don't get that happening at the same time, you won't get the outcomes,
Sure.
So,
and just creating a harmony between the team as
but
well.
But it's creating the environment where they can talk about the problems. They can raise issues and get a solution, a workable solution, or agreement on how they're going to move forward, even if they're not if it's not one way, they're all agreed. Yep,
Sure.
that's the approach.
Yep.
We call them working agreements.
Okay.
So we write them down.
Yep.
So out of our process, you get actions, but you also get these working agreements.
Right.
And it's the working agreements that help
WAs.
people. Yeah, yeah, help people work together. And
Yeah, sure. I actually was reading a book, I know it was a personal development book, and they were talking about creating the perfect harmony and culture in any business or something. And they were saying that this is, I mean, obviously not humans, but they did a study on chickens. And what they did, they took 2 groups of chickens, and they had one group was all these star performing laying chickens. So it was on who could produce the most eggs.
Oh, yeah.
And so they had the top layers, and they picked like a group of 20, I think it was, of like all the best performing chickens, put them together, and then they took just a group of 20 just average normal chickens and put them together.
Yeah.
And they're all in their, I don't know, enclosures together. And the ideal outcome was they wanted to see who was going to lay the most. And they thought the performance, everyone would assume the performance chickens would lay more eggs.
Yeah.
But it turned out that the average chickens laid a lot more because these, they were, I don't know, probably like really cocky chickens, I suppose you could say. A lot of them killed each other.
Yeah. I did read that
did
as
you?
well.
Do you remember what that was in?
Yeah, I don't remember where it was, but I did read that study. And,
it's interesting, isn't it?
And to me, it all comes down to the same as a sporting team. You know, the old saying that a champion team will always outdo a team of champions.
Yes,
you know what I mean? So...
There's no I in
team. Yeah, exactly, and I fully agree with that.
It's interesting,
It's
isn't it?
having everyone working together.
Yep.
You don't have to all be superstars. You don't have to have superstars.
Yeah.
You know, especially in mining maintenance, you know, we can achieve incredible results without having superstars.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Mate, one more question from the E&I supervisor.
Yeah.
So this sounds like more of an opinionated question. Mine operators are generally very rough with the gear. How does that curb the culture?
Yeah, you know, that's the old adage about maintenance and operations.
Right.
You break the gear and we fix it, sort of thing. But from my experience, the answer to that is communication. Just and giving the operators the information.
Yep.
And the data they need to see to be able to fix it themselves. They don't want to break the gear.
Of course, yeah.
But when a maintenance guy comes out and said it's because of you,
they
don't believe it. They see the mouth moving of the maintenance guy, but they don't hear anything that's coming out.
Yeah.
So
it's the age-old witch hunt, really, isn't it?
They just think,
blame
he's
someone.
just whinging again, you know.
Yeah,
and I've got personal experience of that where, you know, we had a loader that was. It was being not operated correctly and overloading it and those sort of things and causing the arms to crack.
Okay.
But it took ages for me to be able to get that data out and show and align that data with the system that tracked who was operating and all those sort of things.
Oh, yeah.
And put that together and show the mine manager. And he goes, "Oh, right, now I understand." And from then on, full commitment. You know, they didn't want to break the gear.
Okay, yeah.
They just thought that I was just a maintenance guy whinging, as they always do.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, that for me, that's been it's about, you know, working together and showing them with facts and data.
Right,
so
and it's beside the point at the end of the day, isn't it? Who broke it doesn't like.
Oh, that's right.
You've both got the same goal in the end, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to get the business to go, you know. Everyone knows that you need the equipment available and everyone knows you need it operated well. Yeah. So, it's just that belief and trust.
Sure. Now, mate, some books. I take it you're a pretty heavy reader and you do enjoy a good book.
Yeah.
Any recommendations for either trade-related books or even personal development or books you like to read yourself?
Yeah, look, I've read heaps of books over the years. A lot of personal development books. In my book, I referenced the Bull Shift book, and also Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink.
Okay.
So read those two quite recently.
Right. Are they like sort of to do with industry or?
No, they're more around just generic things to do with people.
Okay.
And, you know, extreme ownership is about leadership, owning the outcomes,
right,
no matter what they are.
Okay.
You know, so they were really great books. But you know, I suppose in terms of technical maintenance theory, RCM2 by John Mowbray, that's a must. That's the Bible of you know, reliability theory.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
if you're in maintenance and reliability space,
Yep.
RCM2, you have to read that.
Is it a heavy read?
Yeah,
Yep.
it is, but the concepts are quite logical, and,
Right.
and when actually, you know, I've given it to a lot of people in our team, and when tradies read it, and the same as when I read it,
Yep.
you think, oh, well, that's just logical, you know, it's just
Yeah,
what
sure.
we do. But then you have a language around that as well, so... But it takes your thinking to another level. So
Okay.
yeah, it's really probably the one I'd recommend to start with from a technical perspective.
Yeah. Okay. Cool, mate. We're just about finished there. Have you got any final things you'd like to share, messages, or maybe some advice for guys in the industry, guys and girls in the industry, or outside?
I suppose from you know the book perspective. What I'd like to see people do is to go out there and simplify one thing today. You know, don't create another system, don't create another checklist, don't create another piece of paper. Just take out those things, but allow people to talk about the problems that are occurred when we don't do things correctly, and just that discussion will solve those problems.
Sure.
So, you know, I'd love to see people go out there and remove one piece of process that you can do without today,
Right,
you
right.
know, and keep it simple and allow people to talk openly and
Okay. And do you sort of try and use that in your personal life as well, your everyday life outside of work? Keep things as simple as possible?
Yeah, I'm a pretty simple thinker. I don't want to overcomplicate things, so I suppose I've always been like that. Just get in, get it done, and keep moving. So
Yeah,
I can't think of any specific examples in my personal life, but
that's okay.
I try not to complicate things.
Cool. Yeah. All right, mate. Well, that's everything we've covered there.
Well, I just wanted to say, Jason, you know, I think it's great what you're doing, and FIFO is something that while people are moving more and more to the city and working remotely and all that, there's still going to be a lot of years where rely on people doing FIFO, and it is you know, it's a big ask to be away from family and respect people that can do that, and I think it's great to have something where they can listen in and talk about challenges around that as well. So,
cheers.
Great, well done.
Yeah, thanks for that. Righto, mate, just before we finish up, where can our viewers or listeners follow yourself or Bluefield?
So the easiest way to get in contact with me or Bluefield or look at the book and things is just through LinkedIn. Okay. So, you'll find me there easily.
Right, cool.
And, happy to answer questions. Always love talking to people about their thoughts and
Great. And you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram. We're also on Spotify, iTunes and YouTube. If you have any suggestions, feedback, or maybe some episodes that you'd like to see, please reach out. We'd love to hear from you. That's all for this week. Thanks for coming on, Jared.
Thanks very much, Jason. Really appreciate it. Keep doing the good stuff, mate.
Thanks, mate.